excitement begins. There's bands that stretch the entire length of 3rd Avenue all the way up past the area of Williamsburg. That's where the excitement begins for these runners. John, we'll send it back down to you.
Very good, John. I apologize. I called him Michael. I can't even remember my own darn name. Thank you very much. On the course, a live look at Meb Keflezighi. Now, there's only one man who has won the New York Marathon, Boston Marathon, and Olympic Marathon medal, and there's one guy who has one name. That's him, Meb. Running his final race today because, you know what, life tends to let you know when you are done, and he thinks it's time. And the numbers make sense for Meb. 26 miles, it's his 26th marathon. 42 kilometers, Meb's 42 years old. So to make a long story short for Meb, it's been a good run.
There are so many incredible moments in Meb's career, and I think the reason is that Meb is a big game performer. The bigger the stage, the better Meb's done.
Life is about patience. Marathon is about patience. Did my first marathon in 2002 at the New York City Marathon, and when I finished, I said, this is my first and last marathon. I never want to do it ever again. Thank God for short memory. I decided to make a comeback after visiting Eritrea.
He was, as a kid, about as challenged as one could be.
Growing up in Eritrea, I was in the middle of a war. My dad, he was wanted by the Ethiopian soldiers, so my mom encouraged him to leave the country. So I was from 5 to 10 years old. I never saw my dad. Came back 2003 to do my second marathon, but my personal Olympic was a New York City Marathon in 2009.
It had been 27 years since an American had won.
And Keflezighi goes in deep. McKinney sealed the deal.
We made the turn into the park at Columbus Circle. The roar of the crowd was just deafening.
Pointing to the USA, he so proudly wears across his chest.
I was emotional that moment. It just like pointing to USA, USA, and it was a special moment in my life.
The most powerful moment in Meb's entire career was in Boston, the year after the bombing. The world's attention was on that event.
Nobody expected Meb to win that day.
I made a promise to myself I'm going to do everything that I can to be able to win the race for them, and Ryan Hall and I sent them a text saying, hey, we can do this.
There's the line. He's across.
Many people, when you win, they say congratulations, but the Bostonians always said thank you because it kind of helped out with the healing process.
In the end, we'll remember him for running, but I will always remember him for just being an all-around very good person.
Meb has become really the face of distance running in this country.
A lot of great memories has happened in New York, and to kind of finish up my last marathon in New York is wonderful. I feel honored to be able to just enjoy the journey. It's going to be very emotional for me.
And here's the thing about this cat, right? We talk about having more than 1 million people. I'm pretty sure 250,000 of them are related to Meb, and the other 750,000 are his best friends.
But you feel like that. I mean, this guy shares his life, but also his life through running and all the life lessons that he's learned. And this man is truly a remarkable man, and we've been lucky to be able to watch him.
And it's a privilege to know Meb, a lovely fellow. But you know what his life is about? Consistency. He's stuck with the same coach all these years, Bob Larson, his college coach. 10 times he's been 8 times rather, he's been a top 10 finisher in New York. He's really, really consistent, and you have to admire that quality.
Not sure he can win today. Probably a top 10 would be a great finish for him, but certainly it is a coronation for him as well. Let's take a look at the women's race as they are now approaching 45 minutes in, and still quite the pack. Mary Keitany, the favorite, in the dark kit on the right. Edna, the dark blue bottoms, and one of the many with the lighter turquoise blue top on the left.
Yeah, John, you know what? We haven't seen a lot of the ladies yet, but they haven't really started racing yet. 7 miles in 41.20. Their 7th mile was a 5:40, which is 2:28 pace. So they're just beginning to crank it up a little bit. But this first 30 or 40 minutes has been very, very cautious. And in fact, I've just had a text from Paula Radcliffe on the lead bike saying there's some lazy ladies out there today.
You know what? I think everyone's a little disappointed that really wanted to see Mary Mary Keitany run the way she can run here in America. You know, they thought maybe a course record was on her mind. But when you're going for your 4th consecutive, you know, I think she's probably thinking, I could cap this year off nicely by just winning. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think a lot of people are disappointed now to see the slow pace in the early miles.
Those are the folks that are disappointed are the ones that are not running, is my estimation of this. And Keitany, her margins of victory keeps growing. It was 3 seconds the first year, a touch over a minute the second, and then 3.5 a year ago. But I don't know, if you're sitting there and you see this as a slower pace, I mean, are you waiting to get beat? Because in your mind somewhere you know it's coming.
Well, you know it's going to come. You know the Mary's going to hit the throttle at some point. The longer she leaves it, the better you feel, because actually you're lasting longer in the front pack. But it is dangerous when they're this tightly bunched. You know, Laurie Knowles fell at the first drink station. That was a long time ago now, but that's a tough start to the day for her.
To show you just how big this race is, they're at the 8-mile mark, and when suddenly all the masses, all the corrals, they have so many different routes. They don't all join up until the 8-mile mark. It takes that long, and then the last 18, everybody will run together. Time now, the TCS New York City Marathon 15-minute update brought to you by Geico. Now, if you had called Geico at the start of the race, you could have saved 15% more on your car insurance already. So, Timmy, they're 3 miles in, maybe settled in. The running, I'm not sure they're racing yet.
They're not racing, no. I mean, 15 minutes at 3 miles would be a pretty healthy tempo. And of course, that first mile up the bridge is very, very slow indeed. But, yeah, I just get the impression they're moving a little bit more healthily than the ladies were. There was so much deliberation for the ladies in the first half hour.
See in the burgundy kit on the left is Sid. That's taller. Wilson Kipsang. And Guilherme Ghebreselassie, defending champ in the white, right next to him, pulling ahead just a little bit. He pushed out a little bit early, just let people know he was in the field as he comes through, and quite a group.
And it's interesting that Wilson Kipsang is just sort of shadowing Ghebreselassie. Of course, they're all maneuvering. The smart fellas or smart ladies will move to the fore as they approach these drink stations. They get a really clean run and a grab at their drinks bottle.
But Tim, don't you think that Wilson Kipsang is maybe coming into this race with a little different mindset? I mean, he was going to Berlin to try to set that world record. He didn't make it. He dropped out at 30K. Now he's back here. And what do you think his mindset is coming in? Just the win or running a fast pace?
No, I think it'll be just for the win.
Yeah,
he's going for the win. There's big prize money up for grabs, and the prestige of defeating a field of this quality far outweighs running a quick time.
And we've heard from other fellows in the race that they want to run fast and they want to win. And, you know, it's interesting to see the different tactics that come into this race.
Take a look at the leaderboard. There was this drop from the screen, but Tata Consultancy Services. And really, I mean, the leaderboard at this point kind of changes with every stride as you see guys just sort of, at this point, they could be, you know, conversational pace as they go through.
Certainly in the ladies' race has been conversational pace. You know, they've been running for 48 minutes at the moment, so it's still very, very early days in the ladies' race. As Jared Ward said, halfway is about 20 miles. So the halfway point, especially when you've gone out conservatively, is relatively insignificant. And you've got to be running comfortably. In that ladies' pack, they've got to be very, very comfortable at the moment.
But always have to be mindful, right? Patience is, there's a difference between being slow and there's a difference between being patient as you go through. Don't want to let anybody get away from you, but there's been nothing to cover on either side at this point as they come through the very early stages. The men at mile 3, Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Carrie, I don't remember Saturday night. Are you old enough to remember Saturday night? Fever, John Travolta, the whole gang.
I remember
that's where he was. That's where he was from. John, yeah, Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, right there. Worked at a paint store.
You know some good tidbits, that is for sure.
Well, while you were out on the training runs, I was out just watching TV and movies and the rest.
You were jumping high, you know that.
So, the TCS New York City Marathon, 47 of them now. Early stages. The men's wheelchair about to finish. Back with that when we come back.
Wake ready with the world's first performance sleep system by Bedgear.
The TCS New York City Marathon app, powered by Tata Consultancy Services, has everything you need for Marathon Week. Get event schedules, maps, and track runners' progress in real time. Stay connected every step of the way. Download now.
Let's make every day the best day with Eyewitness News this morning and the team you love to wake up to with breaking news in your neighborhood from Ken Rosado and Shirlene Ellicott.
We begin with breaking news.
John Del Giorno is in Newscapter 7 in Brooklyn.
Bill Evans with the AccuWeather forecast.
Here comes pretty heavy rain, so keep that rain gear handy.
And Heather O'Rourke to help get you where you're going.
Delays at the Midtown Tunnel. You may want to go with the subway.
Make every day the best day with Eyewitness News this morning, only on Channel 7.
It's country music's biggest night with today's hottest artists. Plus, the Stars unite in the most powerful show open ever. Brad Paisley and Carrie Underwood host the CMA Awards live Wednesday at 8/7 Central on ABC.
What can you do with 2 bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches for $5 from Dunkin'? Settle a debt, make a friend, save the day, or keep them both for this handsome devil. With 2 bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches for $5, the future is in your hands. America runs on Dunkin'.
Sir, how many of them are there?
2, maybe 300,000.
We could, all 6 of us, and 5 of us, go and fight them. Or we could just go take 5 from the New York lottery. We'd have a 1 in 9 chance of winning. Much better off. Tally ho.
You're watching at home or out here on the course, you can send a message to your favorite runner. Use the TCS New York City Marathon app to create a customized cheer card with your own photos and messages. Then you can share your card with family and friends on social media, and your card could even appear on the big screen at 90th Street and 5th Avenue, showing up as your runner passes by. It's a very cool app, and it's free at the App Store and Google Play. So now let's check in with our Performance Metrics Board powered by Tata Consultancy Services, John Brinkus. Hello, John.
All right, thanks, Sage. Well, our biometric sensor powered by TCS is out there on the course showing us where everybody is. Right now, we have Brian Seaman and Amanda McGlory, 2 of our wheelchair racers who are actually almost finished. They are averaging over 14 miles per hour, which is a blistering pace. Meb, as we mentioned, was just getting underway. But when we look at Stephanie Bruce, Stephanie is actually shooting for a 10th place finish, and if we go to a live shot of her, what we actually see is that if she's going for 10th place, last year, Mary Catani, the first place finisher, finished in 2:24 at a 5:31 pace. Right now, the 10th place finisher from last year was 2:37, averaging a 6-minute pace, and Stephanie's at a 5:48 pace. So that means she's well on her way to potentially finishing in 10th place, and we'll keep tabs on it.
Thank you, John Brinkus. Take a look at Meb. 11th New York City Marathon. His finishes are remarkable. He's finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 9th, 21st, and 23rd. So maybe he needs to, get an 8th place in there, then fill out the set, get some cutlery when you go for that. Men's wheelchair race. Now, listen, the last 4 years, the margin of victory was 6/100ths, 1 second, 1 second, half a second. That exhausted man crossing the line there, Marcel Hug, today wins his 3rd TCS New York City Marathon by 2 minutes and 19 seconds. He crushed it. Last year, he didn't know he had won. They had to tell him. This year, he knows he won. So the Swiss, for the 3rd time, a champion in New York City.
The Silver Bullet does it again.
He's won 9 of his last 11 major marathons. Last year, he swept all 6. This year, he wins in Boston, London, Chicago, and now New York. So 4 of those go as seconds in Tokyo and in London. So fantastic race today by Marcel Hug, the Silver Bullet.
And the worrying thing, John, is he's 31. He's still a growing force. He produced the fastest time ever in a marathon in any conditions in Boston back in April. And a 2.5-minute winning margin from him. 2 minutes, 29 seconds. That is destroying the field.
Men's race there, as you look at the leaderboard, TCS leaderboard. Kip Singh, Gebre Selassie, who's supposed to be there at the top. Abraham, Meb, Lelisa DeCisa, who's been 2nd here, who's been 3rd here, and last year he did not finish here.
Yeah, interesting that Wilson has gone to the front, you know, John, because sometimes running at a really slow pace where you're almost tripping over your own steps is more uncomfortable than just striding out at a more respectable tempo. The third mile, by the way, for the men was 5 minutes exactly. They got to 4 miles. They got there in 20:46. 5 minutes exactly is 2:11 tempo, so they're just beginning to crank it up now in that men's race. But Kipsang, well, for him, that is slow. It's relaxed running when you think he's the third fastest man in history.
And 8 times he's run sub 2:05, so he's not scared, to be sure, of any a quick tempo, and just embracing this one as he goes. Women's race on the left and starting to thin out that pack. Buznesh Deba is there. And on your right, you see both Edna Kiplagat, Mary Keitany. Also early in that pack, you've got Stephanie Bruce, Kellen Taylor, a couple of Americans train up in Flagstaff here.
Yeah, you know, the fun thing about the women's pack right now, you see it, like you said, Stephanie Bruce, Kellen Taylor, very good friends, train together step by step, the entire build-up. And then Edna Kiplagat, Mary Keitany, 2 of the world's best. They were in each other's wedding. It's just, you know, it's kind of a fun story to see that, yes, they're very, very big rivals, but at the same time, they're very good friends.
And then you got a peek at Shalane Flanagan again, who was the runner-up here in 2010.
And there's a big name there, Betsy Sayana, sorry. She is someone that is, I think, has a lot of people looking at her. This is her re-debut, we're saying. She tried Tokyo, had some Achilles injuries, and now is coming back. But she has the number 12 fastest 10K time ever on the track. And she was at the Olympics last year, but she's someone that has a really bright future in the marathon.
You know, John, they say it's smart races, in tactical races like New York generally produces, just get those miles under their belts, get it out of the way, and expend as little energy as possible. And this is what the ladies are doing now, I think. The smart races just tucked in there, letting these miles unfold. I mean, Mary Keitany, again, a bit like I was talking about Kipsang, probably almost tripping over her own legs at this speed because she is a 2:17 performer, and they're performing at something like 2:28 tempo at the moment at best. But that's still a big pack for this stage of the race. They've been running now for, what, 57 minutes. And that's a pack, what, 20 ladies?
And you know, Keitany, she's learned her lesson, because in 2011, remember, she went out and just destroyed the first half, and she held on for third, but had a lead of 2.5 minutes, and eventually gave that all away and finished third. So last year at 13.5 she went, but she's learned a tough lesson on this course.
You're right.
In going out too quickly.
On this course is the specific thing. She went out in 67 minutes and destroyed herself. In London in this April, she went out in 66 minutes and still came back with a great second half. So she has grown since 2011. She's a very different racer, much, much stronger than 5 or 6 years ago.
And over on the right side, we just mentioned they were talking about conversational pace, and at the front there, you've got Wilson Kipsang and Abdi Rahman just going ahead visiting a little bit. We're going to visit with Sage Steele. We go over to Sage.
All right, thank you, John. Well, many of the professional runners in today's race are concerned with podium finishes and personal best times, understandably. Those are trivial matters for Beverly Ramos. Beverly is from Puerto Rico, and after Hurricane Maria, she is just happy to be running it all.
I started running when I was about 9, and then I wanted to know how far I could go. Then after that, my mom took me to the track club, and I loved it. I could beat most of the boys when I was 9, 10. It was exciting. I was like, I think I can be really, really good at this. I think I was about 13. I represented Puerto Rico for the first time. Last year in Rio, I was the second woman to run the marathon at the Olympic level.
The first pictures now coming in from Puerto Rico after taking a direct hit. Hurricane Maria slamming into the island, and as you heard, one official saying the island is destroyed.
We had the Hurricane Irma, and then we had Maria. So we had 2 Category 5 hurricanes. And that's history. The hurricane is not, I don't think are the winds, it's just what's coming after. Sorry. It's not the fear before, it's just what comes after. How are you gonna just bring food to people? They don't have clean water or a roof. And I think that's what we have to understand. that we have to keep working and helping each other. I'm an athlete. Right now, that's not important. Sports are not important. Cultural activities are not important because people are dying. I think my role is just, through sports, tell them that we have to fight. Things are gonna get better. Fall down 7 times, get up 8. The day of the race, if I drop my bottle, that's okay. If my muscles are burning, that's gonna be okay. I get to go to New York and have all that energy from the Puerto Rican people, especially in the Bronx. That's awesome. I would love to not just hear my name. I would like people to just yell Puerto Rico.
What a story. So glad Beverly is here. And to help the hundreds of thousands of people suffering since Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico, please visit www.redcross.org/ESPN. John.
Thank you, Sage. And there you see Beverly Ramos discarding the water bottle, and it's just off the lead. But quite frankly, to train through that and to get here, tie those shoes and go, remarkable to be sure. With that cannon fire, wave 2 is on its way. You can't run 50,000 people at once. It takes a while. So does this broadcast. Back and forth. TCS New York City Marathon after this.
The secret is out. Coco is one of Pixar's greatest triumphs.
What are you doing?
I'm walking like a skeleton.
Oh, you're funny.
It's touching, an instant classic.
Nailed it.
A wonder, a masterpiece.
Fist bump.
Smart, funny, and full of life.
It's showtime.
Sorry.
Disney Pixar's Coco, Thanksgiving, rated PG. Look up. See the world for what it could be. Raise your view of what we can do. At our healthiest, we can stride over barriers. Live not just longer, but better. In mind, body, and community. Be unlimited and unstoppable. Abbott is in the business of life, creating life-changing breakthroughs in health, creating more possibilities for more people at all stages of life. At our healthiest, we can unlock all that life has to offer. Abbott, life to the fullest.
What she's saying about Hillary Clinton and her campaign was the 2016 primary rigged. Now, Donna Brazile faces the tough questions from George. Today on ABC's This Week with George at a special time, 5 p.m., right after the TCS New York City Marathon on Channel 7.
Sunday's race is the culmination of a week's worth of marathon events taking place around town. On Thursday, Meb Keflezighi, who today runs the final race of his legendary professional career, was presented with the Abibi Bikila Award, given annually by the New York Roadrunners to a person who's made outstanding contributions to the sport of distance running. On Friday, it was the TCS Run with Champions, a fun run for 1,000 local kids who got to cross the iconic New York City Marathon finish line and meet their favorite pro runners. And what would a marathon be without a pasta party? The annual Marathon Eve dinner took place last night at the TCS Pavilion, where chefs from Tavern on the Green provided a pre-race dinner for thousands of carbo-loading runners. Running, definitely a social sport, so share your marathon photos on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and the hashtag officially today is TCSNYC Marathon. Again, download that TCS New York City Marathon app too, powered by Tata Consultancy Services. The app is free at the App Store and also at Google Play. The Officially, welcome back to our coverage of the TCS New York City Marathon. And today we're covering an elite competition featuring an impressive field of world-class athletes. But this race is also about the tens of thousands of runners who follow the pros. Since the first New York City Marathon in 1970, more than 1.1 million people have crossed the finish line. And many of them have run to raise money for charity. Last year in New York, 9,000 participants raised a record $36 million for a variety of different causes. What an amazing impact. And the concept of doing endurance events as a way to improve the lives of others was actually born here at this race back in 1988 when a team of 38 people ran on behalf of Team in Training, which benefits the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Honoring Team in Training today are Ashton Eaton, the two-time Olympic champion at decathlon, and his wife, Brianne Tyson Eaton, who won a bronze in the heptathlon in Rio last year. By the way, Brianne ran 3:55 in Chicago last month, John. Pretty impressive. She and Ashton, they're running the first 10 kilometers of today's race as ambassadors for Team in Training. I hope they have children, John. Good genetics, yes?
Yes. Absolutely, yeah. Ashton, world only guy ever to go over 9,000 points in the decathlon. Here today, was communicating with him a little bit. I said, when I come on TV, he goes, I got to hand out medals. So hopefully, you know, we might get him later, but after the 10K, he and his wife will drop out, and then they're going to hand out medals. Presumably not one of his gold ones that he has.
He's got that many.
No,
Give out his own gold medal.
But here's what a nice guy he was. He won the long jump indoor one time, the indoor nationals. And I said, you don't need that. It's for you. That's not what you compete for. I said, send it to me. He's like, what's your address? Right. And I didn't take it, but I mean, like, I have no doubt he would have sent that to me. The women's pack. Tim, that pace, right? If we're in London, we're halfway through for Mary Keitany. We're not close to halfway through, and she's not all by herself.
No, I mean, that's a ridiculously large pack. Keitany, they're right in the middle, almost like the Pied Piper, just biding her time. They've just gone through 10 miles, actually about 7 or 8 minutes ago, in 58:31. That's about 2:31 pace, so it's still very, very leisurely for an athlete of Keitany's ability. For several ladies in that pack, I would suggest the back half of the pack, so to speak, in status. This is optimum tempo.
So, Kerry, yeah, we think about perhaps, oh, well, now we're just waiting for her to take away. How many people does she maybe let into this race that weren't before, weren't really maybe to be considered?
Right. I mean, even for Shalane Flanagan, for her to have this pace be slowed a little bit. I mean, Shalane Flanagan is no joke over 26.2 miles. So I'm sure that she is kind of liking this. She said, if she goes out at 2:17 pace, you're not going to see me. But you never know what happens if they run more 2:21, 2:22, and this is 2:31 pace, so they're definitely letting people in.
Mary Keitany is quite happy with this slow tempo, and as we go back to the men, just quickly about Keitany. She was world record holder for the half marathon. I think she's still number 3 all time for the half marathon. She's only lost 1 out of about 20 half marathons. She's a formidable 10K performer on the roads as well. So she can handle anything that anybody else tries to throw at her, John, in the second half, if indeed it gets as late as that. But I think Keitany will cut loose pretty soon.
And on the med side, to the light of everybody, there's Meb right up front. Kip saying as well. We had briefly, there's a look, slide over Sweeting's Jared Ward, who will pace himself through this, and he is not afraid to let people go, knowing what he can do, where he wants to push. Garamai Gebrselassie right there as well. Lemi Berhanu, a winner in Boston.
But back to Jared Ward. One thing I really liked about him, coming off of the 6th place finish at Rio in the marathon, he said, when I went to Rio, I was honored to be there. When I left, I felt I belonged. And I thought that was a really strong quote, because now he's expecting things from him. He's not just happy to see what sort of happens, you know, he wants to be in there. So will we see him in the top 6 today? You never know, but he is expecting to be there.
I also asked him about what, you know, Meb and what he had done. He said Meb makes us all look weak. So, and he said, I think he's only on marathon number 9 maybe, and he's like, I can't even think of 26. I'll think of today, and then tomorrow I'll worry if, you know, I got to forget my last one before I worry about my next one.
But this is the perfect race course for athletes who are cerebral racers like Meb Keflezighi, like Jared Ward. You know, these are the guys who can really maximize their potential. I mean, Jared Ward's never broken 2:10, and yet he's a really great competitor in this sort of company.
Well, there are several races going on here. It should be the New York City Marathons, because we saw the men's winner, and this is the women's wheelchair race, and really a staggering upset, because that's Manuela Schär, who has done great all year. She'd won 3 majors, but comes through and beats Tatiana McFadden by nearly 3 minutes. And she told me yesterday, this is not her kind of course. She is a great sprinter. She is great on flat. She's fast by herself. But on these kind of hills, very difficult. And if she could win, it was a dream come true. It is a dream come true for Manuela Schär. She is the champ in New York City. And that, Sage, makes for a sweep by the Swiss. And I know you have the other champion with you now.
Yes, I do, John. Thank you. A Swiss sweep. How does that sound to the Swiss silver bullet, Marcel Hug, who wins again? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We're looking at the ladies crossing the finish line, too. Big smile on your face as you see Marcela take the prize.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, to win here and see Manuela winning.
Yes.
For Switzerland, it's just amazing.
I want to go back to last year because it was my first marathon, and I remember watching you. 6/100ths of a second. That's the amount that you won over Kurt Fearnley, and now you're the first to win back-to-back since Kurt in 2009. Totally different feel this year. How would you describe this race versus last year?
Yeah, it was totally different. So Kurt was not here, unfortunately, but yeah, it was. I broke away with Josh Cassidy, working together with him, and then but he was getting tired, and then yeah, I made a move, went alone, and yeah, it was a good race for me.
And this is your third win here. As you fly away, another winner. What does this mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot to me. I mean, the New York Marathon is just a great marathon, a beautiful city. I mean, to win here is just really, really amazing, and winning 3 times is great.
And he says, John, this is the toughest course in the world, but 2013, 2016, and 2017, Marcel Hug, the champion. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. I'll see you back here next year, hopefully, John.
Hopefully.
Yeah, certainly a tough course, but it's always so much easier when you win. You feel so much better about it. Marcel Hug, 137.17. That is a blistering place. John Charles Smith, a mate, a countryman, second for Tim. Watanabe, Ernst Van Dyke, the legendary wheeler as well. We have more TCS New York City Marathon coming up as we watch one more time the Silver Bullet break the tape in Central Park in New York City.
The TCS New York City Marathon app, powered by Tata Consultancy Services, has everything you need for Marathon Week. Get event schedules, maps, and track runners' progress in real time. Stay connected every step of the way. Download now.
Each year for more than 30 years, I've watched apples mature and ripen in the fall harvest. And for the same number of years, thousands of determined athletes have prepared to run in the TCS New York City Marathon. Many fueled by the same great-tasting McIntosh apples grown in local orchards like this. Maybe one year you'll run in the marathon too. Fresh-picked McIntosh apples. Pick some up today. McIntosh, official apple of the TCS New York City Marathon.
You hear command? It'll be on your mark and the horn. On your mark.
Microphone check 1, 2. What is this? The 5 for the something with the roughneck. I feel like gravity. Styles upon styles is what I have. You wanted just to fight for, but you still don't know the half. I sport New Balance sneakers to avoid a narrow path. Listen up, push against your size it up. I never half step, cause I'm not a half stepper.
Wake ready with the world's first performance sleep system by Bedgear.
The 2017 TCS New York City Marathon is sponsored by Tata Consultancy Services, one of the world's top 3 IT services and consulting firms, by New York State apple growers, and by Geico. You could save hundreds on your car insurance. Visit us at geico.com.
ABC's TGIT kicking off with the 300th episode of Grey's Anatomy. That's Thursday, 8/7 Central. It's a stock up on wine and popcorn and tune in. Yeah. Oddly enough, that's how I'm watching this marathon right now. Women's race, and lo and behold, look who's out in front, Mary Keitany. But she still has lots of folks chasing her in a time that is not going to get us to 2:17:01.
Far from it, no, and they're just beginning to ease into sub-230 territory, but for Keitany, who's running 217 again, she'll do a lot of her training, long training runs at a more aggressive tempo than this.
On the leaderboard, and just to the left there, Mamitu Daska running along in her first New York City Marathon, but certainly a woman who could contend here.
No, Daska won the Healthy Kidney. New York Roadrunners has so many awesome races, but they have some 10Ks. And this, the Healthy Kidney, she won. She also ran the Mini in June, but she trains here in America. And, you know, she is someone that she's run very well over 26.2 miles, so we can't overlook her.
Yep, loves New York City. I mean, a lot of really high finishes, but nothing covering this distance here in the city.
You know what's interesting, John? Just looking around the faces in that ladies' lead pack, at some point the pace is going to kick in really hard, and there's going to be a lot of them struggling to react to that. One athlete who I think this is building good for at the moment and has the pace to react is Shalane Flanagan there in the red and black, just to the left of the group, second to left of the group. Shalane has enormous 10,000 meter speed, and she's got the fluency, the ability to go with a strong surge and hang in there, and that could mean a top 3 placing for someone like Shalane.
Well, even as we saw Shalane coming back from her back injury last year, she had 6 weeks or something of training, and she runs the USA National 10,000 meters, and she finishes 4th. Then she goes to Europe and runs under 15 minutes, her fastest 5K in years. And then she is now, you know, coming here to run the marathon. She is clearly so talented over all distances, but is not one to talk a big game unless she's ready to run, and she seems ready to run.
This is the ladies just climbing Pulaski Bridge to the 13.1 mile half marathon point, and I have, 76 minutes on my clock already.
And Shalane Flanagan said, I just want one more big moment that I can feel proud of what I have done to go with so many other ones she's had in her career. All right, halfway point, the lead women passing as we discuss the Abbott World Marathon Majors. Take a look at the Global Series, which is, so golf has its majors, tennis has its majors, and so does marathon, world-class marathoning. You see the ones, don't be confused, okay? On the left with the golf, you get to wear long pants, you walk, and it takes about 5 hours, okay? The ones on the right, short pants, a lot faster, and when you're done, you're really super tired. But there you see them, more than $1 million prize money at stake, $250K to the winner. Just the second year they've done this for wheelchair athletes, and as you look at it, Mary Keitany and Edna Kiplagat with a good finish here could very much climb up to the top of that board.
Yeah, you know, with Abbott World Marathon Majors, they not only give a huge prize purse to all the winners, but now they're also donating $280,000 to charity to each race, and they're going to split that up a little bit, but they are so generous, and it is a great addition to our running.
Goes through the series of all the major marathons, and then they also in Olympic and World Champion years count those as well. And there you see 4 different men have won early marathons here with Karui in Boston, Galen Rupp in Chicago. So all of them very much in the running, and things left to be decided. This is the 5th, New York, the 5th of the marathon majors in what is now this year and next year an 8-race cycle. All right, women's race, and for the first time we're going to go back in and talk to Paula Radcliffe, who's been riding along. And Paula, congratulations for you on resisting the urge to just jump out and run with him.
I'm not sure I could keep up with him, but still to this point the race has not really got going. The fastest mile splits that I've seen have been the 5:35 early on that Busnech-Deva put in just to get the pace rolling a little bit better than it was, and since then it's been consistently around the 5:40s. Gradually the pack has been whittling down. Mary Keitany is very much in control, Edna Kiplagat too.
It's Empire Today's biggest sale, the 50-50-50 sale. 50% off carpet and flooring, 50% off padding and materials, and 50% off installation.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
Lead vehicles start to roll. On your mark.
Start spreading the news.